Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Storytellers, where we break down visual storytelling and talk to great guests, like the guest I have today, an old pal of mine, an old Cubit schoolmate, Bart Sears. Let's bring old Bart in. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
How's it going tonight?
that's going pretty good. How about yourself?
That's it, huh? That's it.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. Okay. All righty. Hey, the thing I always like to start with is that aha moment. You know, that moment for you where you said to yourself, "I want to do comics." What was that for you?
Neil Adams' Detective, 80-page giant, the werewolf story.
Oh,
Night of the Wolf, I think it was called.
yeah.
Detective. Oh, what was it?
I know though. It was one of those 60-cent giants.
Yeah. First story. I saw that and something about it said, I want to draw these. And I'd read comics for years before that without, making that leap to this is what I want to do. I was 10 years old and I'll never find it.
Andy says it's number 255.
Andy,
thank you, Andy.
That was it. That was the moment that I decided I was going to draw comics. So I started tracing, put the tracing paper right on that bad boy.
Right.
Started tracing and then trying to figure out how to draw it on my own.
And was that your first exposure to Neil Adams?
I don't think so. But something about Batman and the werewolf. Maybe it was the first Batman of his I had. Although I wouldn't be surprised because I was only 10. And we collected comics, but that was the first one I remember anyways.
Yeah. Now, did your brother Brett read comics?
Oh, yeah. That's how I did.
Okay.
Around 4 years older, there was always, comics, and I would get the hand-me-down comics.
Right.
Allowed me to touch. You know how that goes.
No, I don't, because I was the oldest.
Oh, yeah, you do. You can't touch that one.
Well, that's true. That's true. My brother and I were always trading back and forth, though. So whatever character we were in the mood for, we were like, "Hey, want to trade?" And I'd get his shit, he'd get my shit, and it'd go back and forth. That was the fun thing about comics back then, is that that you did that with it. You didn't polybag them, you didn't backboard them, and all that stuff. And actually, that brings up a funny story because I liked to collect comics, and Bart he didn't give a shit about the comics, like the covers or the conditions or anything. And one time I was at his place in was it Rockaway?
Yeah, I think it was Rockaway.
And I was going on about comics, and he took this comic right in front of me and he tore the cover off, and I was like, ah! Do you remember that?
Yes. I thought you were gonna stroke out.
I almost did. I was like, Bart, what are you doing?
Yeah, because I read them. I cut them up if I needed to get a page out of it for whatever reason. Mine were all dog-eared and spilled on and drawn in or marked up, or I don't know.
Did you go to the Cubit school right after high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, first year right after.
And did your high school have like an art program?
Yeah, I really lucked out. My art teacher, Mr. D'Angelo, he pulled me aside a few weeks into 9th grade, and he said, and he was a sculptor and not a realist, and he pulled me aside and he said, "Look, I can see you're going to be an illustrator." He's like, "I really don't know, that's not my field. I don't know much about it. I certainly don't know anything about comics. So I'm going to have you do special stuff." And he just gave me special assignments, and that was where I discovered, oh crap, I'm so bad with names. It's so awful. See if I can beat Andy with it. The books.
The books.
Yeah.
Like the studio guy?
No, No, it's, I'm getting there. And
Loomis.
Loomis. He had one of his books, and he's like, "Here, study this." So that was my first real introduction to classical illustration, other than how to draw comics the Marvel way.
Oh, okay.
He pretty much just let me on my own course and guided me as best he could.
That's cool to have somebody recognize your talent early on.
Yeah, it was nice. He was a great guy. And I remember when I was going to the Kubert School for, the portfolio review and whatever before you get in, I was so nervous about it. And he pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, anybody can get in art school. Don't worry about it." He's like, "They'll make a big show of it." And, he's like, "Don't worry, you're good enough beyond it, but anybody can get in art school."
That's funny. It's funny. We don't know that when we're,
He was just up at SU, involved with SU too, so I thought that was pretty funny.
That is funny. It's true too. They'll take your money. They don't care if you graduate.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah, we've seen plenty go through that. We're like, really? So after you got out of the Kubert School, you went to work for where?
Moving company. I quit the Kubert School. I dropped out.
Right.
And I was sick of drawing. I hated to draw. Kind of always have. And just
Hard
burned
work.
out. Yeah. And so I moved furniture for a while and realized that really sucked. And is that when? I think somewhere in there I worked for some video game company for a 3-month stint. Way back in the day. This is in the early 80s. And pixel art, really crazy stuff. And that sucked. So I did some samples and went to Marvel and got a job and did 3 small jobs for Marvel and burned out of comics again and started doing illustrations for Hasbro and then got hired there.
Okay, I was wondering about that. And you moved to Rhode Island and were working for them.
Yeah.
How long were you at Hasbro?
A year to the day.
That's it? You were only there 1 year?
Yep.
Huh.
It's pretty funny.
I don't know why I thought you were there longer.
Nope, just a year. I did a bunch of stuff freelance after that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was funny because I had my exit interview and the guy's like, "Oh, so you've been here? Geez, you started a year ago today." I was like, "Oh, really?" Funny how that works.
That's all I'm good for. 1 year.
But he was funny too. He was like, you came here, you sat in that chair, and you had your spiked up bleach blonde hair and your Mickey Mouse sunglasses, and I thought this kid's never gonna last. But you've been here a year. You've got like 3 letters of recommendation, and everybody here's saying, "I wish you wouldn't leave." I was like, I'm gonna go draw comics.
You mean the thing you were burnt out on when you went to work for them?
Exactly.
It's like The Godfather. It just keeps pulling you back in. You can't get away with it.
Comics has that effect.
Yeah. Now, have you come to terms with that?
Pardon?
Have you come to terms with that as far as
most of the time?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm. What aspect of comics and the production of it do you dislike the most?
The finishing, the analness. I love telling the story. I love breaking it down. I love roughing in the stuff, and then it gets tedious. The finishing style, depending on what that is. And I've always veered towards my natural veer is towards a more illustrative kind of finishing style, which is ridiculous because it takes so much more time. And one thing you don't have in comics is time.
Right.
So my favorite times in comics are when I've managed to use a style or fallen into a style I thought was right for whatever project I was on that was simpler. Like the second run on XO and a lot of my later stuff where I cleaned up a lot of the line work and just worked out.
Spider Woman was like that.
Yeah, and Spider Woman I just did breakdowns on mostly, so
Oh, did you? Okay.
that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I mean, these breakdowns, you do 3 a day in the morning and have a life.
Well, that's why John Buscema did so well. He was banging those breakdowns out.
Yeah, and the way Marvel paid for
Yeah.
them, I have no idea how they pay for them now, but it was like just a minuscule amount less to do breakdowns. So
yeah, and he was getting some great. So
oh yeah,
yeah, so he was doing well. Plus the royalties and everything that finally came in.
yeah.
If you were offered that kind of a gig now, would you take that doing breakdown?
Probably.
Just to tell the story.
Yeah, just to tell the story. I might want more say in the finisher, but I don't know if that would matter at this point, as long as I had copies of my breakdowns.
Right.
And it's not like I'd read the book when it came out anyways.
It's not like you read the script.
Hey, like Joe said, that's just putty for us. Once that's in our hands, it's our job.
Were you a fan of Joe's before you went to the school?
Yes.
You were.
Yeah. I revered Joe, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
in my quiet little mind. I always thought he was an amazing artist, and I still am in awe of his art and how he was able to simplify anything. And it all works. It's great. His little clothespin figures. And,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just brilliant stuff.
Sergio Cariello posted a drawing he had done that Joe helped him with, and then Joe did a drawing of that same. Like, it's like a creature holding a submarine. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't recall that now.
It was so Joe, and yet these lines on the submarine just looked amazing.
Yep. I don't know how Joe did it, to be honest. I mean, and some of his lines are, just thick and they're thrown in there. And I mean, you've seen him work. It wasn't like he labored over lines. I mean,
No.
Could obviously control a brush and do whatever he wanted with it. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was not being anal.
There's a great story Neil Adams talked about. He was going to lunch at DC and he was going to go with Joe, and Joe had a crunch deadline on a cover that came in. The guy messed it up or something. He had to fix it that afternoon, so he couldn't go to lunch. Neil comes back from lunch and the cover's inked, and Joe did it with a lettering pen.
He just didn't want to grab another tool and go through that trouble.
Maybe that's all they had in the bullpen, Can you imagine? That's amazing. So your favorite parts of storytelling, you'd say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And with that, the layout and design of the panels and the page.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes I beat myself up trying not to repeat something I've done, even within different layouts within the panel of simple stuff,
Mm-hmm.
heads talking and stuff. If I recognize I've done it before, I'll try to find another way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculous, I think, for graphic art, but
when you're laying out a story and you come to a roadblock where you're like, I just can't make this thing work. I'm just do you labor over that and get it, or do you move on and come back to it?
In most instances, if I can't figure it out within, a few tries, I'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
But usually, especially if it's interior pages and storytelling and stuff, usually I'm pretty good at, looking at it from a different angle, or, switching up what I was originally thinking and trying something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
But, sometimes it's just, and it becomes the last thing you do on that job, and you hate it, but you're like, I got to get this out.
Right.
And you know, usually most people don't know anything about it, but it's the one page you'll remember forever.
I tend to just plow through. You know, I'll give it a couple shots, like you said, and I'll be like, moving on. I'll come back to it. You know, get it done, get it done. You know.
Oh, yeah, I've always admired that about you. No, honestly, your ability to just put the head down and get it done. Sometimes that's the hardest thing for me.
Right. Yeah, everybody's got a different approach, you know. That's what makes us all different. Are you getting an echo from me? I keep getting like a reverb coming through.
It might be my, let me check my volume. Because I don't have good equipment, so to speak. I don't even know how to check my volume. Let me see, maybe it's this. Is this any better?
Let me talk. No, I'm still hearing. It's like I'm hearing it come back at me.
Yeah, it's probably my crappy speaker and my crappy camera mic.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Just wanted to make sure. I put mine on mute to see if that was it, but I think it's a slight delay and it's coming back or something like that. But we shall overcome.
Here, try it now. I'm going to mute mine.
Okay. Yeah. I don't hear it.
Yeah, it's my crappy mic.
Oh, okay. No worries. I had Adam Kubert on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about storytelling and challenges he puts upon himself when he's, you know, approaching things. Like he wanted to do like he says, I'm going to tell this story in grids, and I'm going to put, you know, 8 panels on a page. And then another assignment, he might say, I'm going to do it with 12 panels, you know, and just to challenge himself.
Yeah.
And you had posted a page recently from one of your new projects for what?
Maiden for heavy metal.
Yes, for heavy metal. Yeah. And you had like I think it's a 12 panel page. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of grid work in Maiden. Yep, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. What was your approach? So was it scripted like this, or was this just the way you wanted to tell it?
Well, we wrote it, so.
You wrote it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Michelle and I write this, so. Yeah, for this, I think we just wrote 12 panel grid of Neoma chasing and cutting up Arano. You know when writers do that to you. Fight scene, 3 pages.
Right.
So that's kind of what this was. But I just took, I don't know if you see it back here. One of my favorite all-time things.
Oh, yeah.
Wally Wood's 22 panels that always work. And I was like, let me try this, something like this here and something like this here. And just had a lot of fun with it.
Mm-hmm. I like the stark contrasts. You know, there's almost no gray tone. It's just solid black and white, but it's so solidly drawn, you know?
Oh, thanks.
This
it was fun with me. And I thought, like many styles and variations I've used, I thought this would be a fast style. And I did it all digitally.
That was my next question.
The bigger slowdown, because you know I would draw out the whole backgrounds and you know everything, and zoomed in too tight on much of it, which slowed me down. But it's fun just playing with the black and white like that.
Mm-hmm.
I find that more interesting than doing a lot of rendering and sculpting with line, you know,
right?
Small line.
This panel here, I guess it's 4, 5, 6, panel 7. Love the negative space under here, under the white space under the figure. Can you see my cursor moving?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where he's walking, you know, and you've got like a highlight on his hip there, and there's Yeah, I really like that. That panel just really jumped out at me.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And what are those ghosts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Ghosts of all the women he's killed.
Nice. Nice. When does this come out?
The
Or is it out?
It started in Heavy Metal 302 and it runs monthly. We've got 8 pages a month and for the next several years.
For the next several years?
Yep.
Oh.
They bought 20 stories in there. The stories vary from 2 or 3 chapters of 8 pages to 5, 6, 7 chapters of 8 pages. So it's
And
pretty long term.
I suspect that they'll collect it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They already started collecting it into, pamphlet comics, staple comics. The first 2 issues have come out. Then they'll do the next 3, which completes the first story, which is Neoma the Bride.
I didn't know that Heavy Metal published floppies.
Yep. They're getting into all that stuff.
No kidding.
I think the first trade, which will collect the first 3 maiden stories, comes out in October.
Okay.
Something like that. But I don't know if that's set in stone yet, that date.
Right. So 8 pages a month?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a nice deadline.
40 days of work. On a good month.
You said you work digitally. What program do you use?
Most of that was done in, I gotta look because I can't remember.
Clip Studio?
No, Sketchbook.
Sketchbook.
Yeah. I have
Okay.
an iPad, which I have whatever their program is called.
Procreate?
Procreate, which I did some stuff in it, but I don't have a good workflow with that yet. So
Okay.
with my Cintiq and Sketchbook. But it was funny you mentioned Andy setting different design and storytelling tasks for himself with the job, doing it in a grid, doing it.
Adam.
I'm sorry, Adam.
Yeah.
I've often done a grid like, I'll use Batman. Where is it?
I tend to approach page layout 2 different ways. I like the Joe Kubert way, where there's accented panels, horizontal panels, things coming out of the frames. But then by the same token, I love the continuity of grid panels too, because it's really, there's nothing more pure than that. There's no fudging around. Yep. You can't dazzle somebody with a big figure or a big impact or something like that. When you're doing a grid, it's like a storyboard. You got to make it interesting.
Yep. You gotta know what you're doing. You can't fake it. You can't just render it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's all about storytelling.
Yeah. Toth, Ditko, Kirby, all those guys, could work in grids and make their stuff sing.
Yep. The third main story is called Torpedo, and I'm doing it, drawing it. It's created and drawing it as an homage to
Bernet?
William Bernet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it all in 6-panel grids. So that's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that'll be fun. Are you going to go for that loose, organic inking style?
Yeah. Just how I would do that. It'll be fun. All the maidens will have a slightly different approach to them depending on the story. So that's part of the fun for me is every story I'll change up how I draw it.
Right. I've been doing that with my Compass Comics project. Like when I drew the Chenoo, and now when I'm drawing Alien Alamo, I'm changing the style to fit the storyline that I want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun. It really exercises some different muscles.
Keeps the mind thinking, because when you get in you get doing comics monthly, you get into, that rhythm, which can be a rut, I guess, especially creatively. And, I definitely find that. So, I mean, even with Justice League, I changed styles on that, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 years. So with Maiden, it's pretty much planned so that the style's constantly changing, just to keep it fun, keep it fresh, and to fit the story and the genre, because every story has a slightly different genre. So,
oh, neat.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Maiden's pretty much Michelle's idea. She came up with it in a dream and started writing about it, and told me about it, and we started developing it as a comic. So,
oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
And did you pitch it to Heavy Metal, or did they approach you?
No, we pitched it, and they bit right away. So that was cool.
That is cool. It's an unusual thing,
Yeah.
So many times you have like this great idea, and it's great, and then you send it out, and they're like, "No, we're not going to go with this," But you thought it was a slam dunk,
It doesn't fit some numbers thing or somebody's pitch
Yeah,
idea.
the timing's off, or we have something similar in the pipeline. You've heard all the stories.
Okay. Well, that's what's great about you and Compass. I mean, your next project is going to be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. And the first two, the Shanu and Alien Alamo, were projects that I pitched to publishers, and they turned it down.
Yep.
But I knew they'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, then I'll just do them.
It's working out.
It's working out. Exactly right.
Your next you must know your next.
Yeah, it's I'd mentioned the ghosts that I was seeing, because the next one's a ghost tale.
Oh, nice.
It's called The Ghosts of Matacumba Key.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So and it's going to have have characters from Alien Alamo and from the Shanu in it.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, tying it all together, know. I even tied Joe Frankenstein into my universe. So
awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just having a ball. That brings up a good point, or a good subject to talk about, is the direction of comics as an industry today. What do you think about what's going on, and where do you see it going?
I can't pretend I pay much attention, to be honest. Once I started, working regularly in comics, I pretty much stopped collecting them or reading them unless, somebody I knew had one out. Then I'd follow that stuff. But otherwise, I never followed it. And in the past years, especially as comics got more expensive, my ability to pay a lot of money for them, I just couldn't see it. Like many, I just get trades come out. But it's certainly not the comics we started in. I mean, there are problems with that industry, but I remember listening in on meetings that the upper management was having, where they were trying to figure out a way to save a guy's job, to keep him working. What kind of projects can we put him on that'll sell? Just because he was an employee they'd had for years. And I think those days are long gone.
Loyalty.
Yeah. And so that's different. I mean, I've done one job for DC since, probably 94 or 5 or something. I don't know. It's been forever.
Yeah.
And, that slipped through the cracks. And, I couldn't even tell you what it's like to work for one of the big 2 these days. I have no idea. And it seems like a lot of guys don't. So,
yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, the sales aren't great. I'm sure you've read about the bloodletting, as it was called, at DC. Half the editorial staff gone and all that.
No surprise.
Yeah.
No surprise.
Yeah.
which is weird because when we were in comics, they were selling. When I got in, comics were selling probably probably 90 or 100,000 a month, and you know, I think Warner owned DC back then, and they mostly viewed DC as, you know, probably a write-off, and also, you know, like a fertile ground. Maybe they'd get some ideas and get some more underoos, or maybe a movie or a TV show or something.
Sure.
And, you know,
licensing product, you know,
thing. And if they do something cool, you know, we can use it. And I think once they started getting actually popular and in different media, you know, once Batman came out, and it kind of changed how superhero movies were and superhero shows, you know, people started looking at the comic side, and when they aren't making money and aren't selling, they don't see the value in it, I don't think.
Yeah, well, AT&T spent how many billions to buy Warner and DC Comics, strictly, I mean, to mine their IP. You know, they don't care about the publishing end.
No, needs nothing to them. They don't need it.
Unfortunately, a lot of people that work for the company don't care for the publishing end because they're, you know, the sales numbers reflect that, you know, the audience. And so the reason I ask that is, you know, a lot of people are starting to branch off on their own. It's a different paradigm, you know, and you don't need that validation from them anymore. You know, they used to hold the keys to the kingdom. You create, they own it all, and they give you a page rate that they determine. And now, you know, there's, you know, so many opportunities for creatives, which is, I think it can be a golden age going forward.
And that's definitely part of my plan. I'll never work for DC or Marvel again. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion. So, you know, why even bother thinking about it, you know? Yeah, exactly. Do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it, and then try to sell it.
And you have a crowdfunding thing coming up soon, right?
Yeah, it's an art book kind of called Heads Will Roll. I like doing 5x8 headshots. I've done hundreds of them, I guess, and putting out a small little 5x8, 148 page book of headshots. And yep, there's the cover, which my buddy Mike Attia is coloring as we speak.
Nice.
It's going to be sweet. The interiors will be black and white, one headshot a page. And probably for the campaign, I'll do a new headshot every day for the day of the campaign. That'll go in the book and go up for sale for the campaign.
And are they all, like, these are all copyrighted characters? Is that an issue?
Nah. It's an art book.
It's an art book. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an art book. You know.
What's the size of it?
5x8.
That'll be the printed size?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Nice, thick, little, fun to flip through book.
Yeah. And when's that gonna pop up?
It launches July 6th with a new crowdfunding company called Zoop.
Zoop, Z-O-O-P.
Yep.
Okay.
Their first foray into crowdfunding will be in July or in June. I don't have any information on what those projects are going to be yet. I imagine we will know soon.
And how did you discover them?
I don't know. Somebody mentioned something about this new crowdfunding company that they basically handle the campaign and fulfillment, and I handle content, which was perfect for me because I've done campaigns before and I really don't want to do them anymore. And their success is, you know, linked to my success, so they'll market it and push it, and you know, we'll see how it goes.
They have a skin in the game.
Pardon?
What made you decide to go with a new company like that as opposed to Indiegogo or Kickstarter that has a broader audience?
I think just one of the facts is it's easy for me. They'll just,
Because of them handling fulfillment.
they'll handle the whole campaign. I'll send them the graphics and stuff, but they'll put it all together. They'll monitor it. They'll deal with all the questions and answers and consumer queries, and they'll do all the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do whatever is asked of me to co-market, as well as my own pathetic social media I do. But if I tend to need one thing to focus on, and I get too many things, I'd end up getting nothing done.
Right.
So the less I can distract myself, the more I can sit and write and draw, which is what I just want to do anyways. So
Focus on the stuff that it's your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So I'm more than content to let people that know how to market and sell, go market and sell. And I'll just hopefully keep creating.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any conventions on the horizon that you're going to be at?
Nope, nothing yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I got Jim McLaughlin does all my convention stuff.
Okay.
Jimmy Mack, and obviously it's been a quiet year.
Yes. And
I'm hoping to get back into it. Hopefully this fall things will start picking up again as more people get immunized. So
yeah, they're starting to come up. MegaCon is scheduled for August.
Is it?
Yep, in Orlando. Terrificon is also in August in Connecticut. So I'll be at both of those this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out there. And I just finished one in Fort Myers last week, and it was the first one I've done. First time I flew in over a year.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
You get your shots and everything? You all immunized?
No.
Cowboy up.
Yeah. I won't even get into that, but I don't get a flu shot either. I take care of myself. I'm healthy, and I'm not in an at-risk demographic for that virus.
No,
so
I'm at risk. Walk into the freaking bathroom. I did start going to the gym last week, though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Excellent.
First time in like 13 years.
To get a membership?
Yeah.
Now you got to go. You paid.
I got to go. So, but I like it.
So what's your plan? How many days a week you're planning on?
I'll go 5 or 6 days, and I'll do cardio most every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting used to it first. Then I'll probably hit up their trainer and ask for a specialized program.
Right.
But I want to get used to going first before I start.
Yeah.
Really getting crazy. And
you
so
don't
far,
hurt
it's
yourself.
good. I've been sore and pretty much dog tired, but I'm kind of sore dog tired no matter what I do. So,
but at least now you're moving forward. Your health.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just.
It's like I unleash the guns.
Well, you live in Florida, so they don't even need a license. So. Oh man. So what else you got on your on the horizon now? You working on anything else that you want to tell?
I'm working on a new project with a company called Phenom Comics.
Phenom Comics.
I can't say much about it yet,
mm-hmm.
but it's a long-term deal, so I'm pretty excited about that. I just started doing some design stuff for it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get geared up and start cranking out pages. I'm only doing pencils, and Rob Hunter's going to ink them, so they're going to be crazy rendered. So that's going to be fun. I haven't done a lot of rendering in a long time, so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Didn't you just say earlier you were trying to make it simplified?
Yes, I did.
I just wanted to clarify that.
I just didn't say I was able to. I'm a man of contradictions, Graham.
Who wasn't it? Bernard Shaw that said that. We are great, and we Oh shit, I forget the quote. There's something about contradictions. We contain multitudes.
That is very true.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So I never even heard of that company.
Yeah, it's new. They've done a couple projects. They definitely have a very long-term plan.
Mm-hmm.
Great guys run it. So I'm pretty excited I managed to get hooked up with that. So
Great. Is there a timeline on that, or when you think those books will
not
come out?
really. Not really. I don't know how much I can say, to be honest. So
Yeah, well, don't get yourself into trouble.
it's exciting. It's going to be really cool stuff. And the guys are smart. They're really smart. So I'm pretty lucky.
Can you talk about the genre that you'll be working in?
It's sort of like John Wickish sci-fi.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Kind of spy, kind of ninja stuff.
Well, it sounds exciting, and I know when you're drawing it, it will be very exciting.
It'll be fun.
That's how you roll.
And my goal is to break Rob. So
have him crying as pages arrive.
That's his greatest joy, breaking an inker.
Has he inked you before?
Yeah, he inked me on Cap Falcon.
Oh, okay.
2.5 issues, and he broke and quit. No, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but he got off the job, and I had to finish it myself. So it went from all his crazy wild rendering to no rendering at all.
And drawn to size.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The pages went from normal to about 11 by 14.
So, would you say that Neil Adams was like your major inspiration?
Definitely to start.
The start.
Definitely.
The beginning.
Yes. I was really attracted to his, that glitzy advertising illustrative style.
Mm-hmm.
And, as I learned more about comics, I, of course, started to love Buscema and Ross Andrew.
Ah.
And
I love when people give love to Ross Andrew.
Yeah, I realized in later years that I actually got a lot from Ross Andrew. If you look at his stuff and my stuff, you'll see, I think, a lot of similarities.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I never realized until, years later, because I didn't have much of his stuff, And I, of course, love the Superman, Spider-Man, which he drew and then people redrew, and who knows who did what in that.
Yeah.
But Byrne, I was really attracted to Byrne. His Iron Fist and X-Men way back in the day, and his Cap.
Okay.
Those are some I collected. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch. And Kirby.
Oh yeah. The King. Oh, and Kubert.
Yeah, and Kubert. Yeah, because my brother and I were big into war comics, so we had Russ Heath, Kubert.
Right.
Neil did a few of those too. Enemy Ace, and can't remember what else.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see that Korak story that Joe penciled and Russ Heath inked?
That is ringing a bell.
It was in one of those 60-cent giants, like the Batman one you were talking about, and it was around that period, and it was one of the backup stories of Korak. And I remember this is really crazy looking. I mean, you had Kubert's dynamics and storytelling, and then you have the finishes of Russ Heath on it. Yeah.
I don't remember that, but it must be weird looking.
It was cool looking, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, I can see that because the power of Joe's is in its looseness, and once you tighten that up, I can't imagine what that looks like really.
Yeah, it looks less like Joe.
Yeah,
And
plus, I mean, Joe's when he's drawn, his stuff doesn't necessarily attach correctly. I mean, it's impressionistic in some ways.
Yeah.
So when you try to tighten that up, it's got to, I would think, make some things start looking a little clunky.
Yeah, unless you redraw.
Yeah, and then what's the point? But
yeah, then it's not Joe.
He seemed like a crazy guy anyways. I've never met him. But.
Well, those war comics that he did in the 70s when he took over were probably the best ever done.
Yeah, I had all those Sergeant Rocks.
Yeah, those double page splashes he would do. Holy cow.
And weren't they only like 16-page stories then? Something like that?
Could be, because there was then they had Sam Glanzman's things in the back. And
yeah. I'm pretty sure they were. I think part of that was because he took so long.
Probably. I mean, I look at, I had to do a book called The Expendables Go to Hell. And I had to draw all the Expendables characters, and they're in hell. So people from history can show up and stuff. And I had to do a tiger tank. And there's a lot of doodads on a tiger tank. And, but I'm able to go into one of the 3D programs and get a tiger tank and move it around to the angles I need and all that kind of stuff, import it into my my digital iPad, and then just go over it and draw it. Russ Heath, he actually built the models and then took photos of the models, and somebody said that he even adjusted the lenses so that the perspective on the models remained intact and didn't look like a model anymore, if you know what I mean. It maintained its weight and mass. Holy shit. And then he would have to draw it by looking at the picture.
I would think he'd Lucy it at least, but man.
Yeah. He might have autographed it or, something like that.
But yeah, no,
But those guys were the real deal, man. They were hardcore, and
I can't imagine doing all that work.
Oh, I know. And for the page rates they were paid.
Yeah.
Love. And no royalty. The
only way he made money was to do a lot.
Yeah. I had JR on about a month ago, and he was talking about John Buscema said to him, "How many pages a day do you do?" And JR told him, this was early on in JR's career, and he said, "If you're not doing, I think it was 5 pages. If you're not doing 5 pages a day, throw away the fucking eraser." and I guess Kirby told Buscema that when he first came up, throw away the fucking eraser. It's comics. You got to get it out. You got to get. And the beauty about working that fast is you get that kinetic energy.
Yes.
Once
you do it, for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 months, 6 months. I wish that was a thing, because I would love to have that time, that ability, and to pump out that much work.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be insane. I mean, I've penciled 18 pages in 3 days. And that was like my third DC job, Spectre 18. And that was no fun, but it still, you get it done and it's drawn and everything's there. And, and there's another one I did fast, an Eclipso or something I had to do really fast for whatever reason. And it's fun. I mean, it's tough in this day and age where style is everything, and you're judged on, the style, not the output, or even necessarily the quality of the storytelling in the output, or the quality of the drawing. It's all about the style. That's what it seemed like to me over the last, pretty much since the 90s. And, so I don't think that opportunity will ever arise unless, somebody, say, with their own company, Compass Comics, to, hire five inkers to come in and, but I don't know, where's the market for that, that much product. I don't know. It would be
But the
fun.
other thing is that the costumes on these characters, we're talking about corporate comics, of course,
Yeah.
but they've gotten so complicated.
Yeah.
That Captain America had pull on Buccaneer boots,
Yeah.
but now he's got laces
Yes.
and eyelets and all that other shit, and
Scale mail armor and
yeah,
100 straps and buckles.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, they were designed basically naked figures with lines on them, and you could bang them out.
Thank you.
I think one of the greatest costumes ever designed was Gil Kane's Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
Such a great costume, great design.
And they were smart. They knew they had to redraw these things hundreds of times.
Right.
So they made it so they could.
Mm-hmm.
It kills me when you see these designs and it's like, how are you going to do a monthly book? It's going to take you a day just to draw a splash page of that guy.
Yeah. They'll have a designer do it. And it'd be like, okay, if this is gonna become a movie, this is what it will look like. Well, that's not comics, Don't design it for them.
Yep. And that even drives me crazy. I mean, everything in 3D art, in games and comics is texture. Everything's got to have a texture. It doesn't.
Right.
Nobody cares what the texture is or if it makes any sense. The best of that stuff, they care and it makes sense. But in general, it's just throw a texture on, throw buckles, throw, crap everywhere and give it some kind of thing because they don't care. They do it once, and then it moves and somebody animates it and, they've got it forever. But you can't do that in comics, not and expect somebody to do a book a month drawing that.
Right. Right. And I think there's something to be said for continuity. I hated when Sal Buscema had to come in and do an issue of Amazing Spider-Man, and Ross Andrew was the regular artist and he wasn't doing it. As a reader, I hated that.
Yep. So did I. I remember thinking, is this the same book? Checking the cover is what changed. And, when you're a kid, you don't know the realities of life and deadlines and
right
anything that's going on. But still, that's crazy. And I really hated when companies went to story. I don't even know what they call them, where, this team would do 4 issues and then this team would do 4 issues and then
arcs.
Story arcs with different teams, because there's no continuity then. How can you follow that as a book? It just, you don't get to build anything, you don't get to create anything, you're just and gone. And that definitely not something I was into.
Mm-hmm. Well, they do that now because they're creating all the stuff for the trades.
Yeah.
So, you get that arc with that team, bam, that's a trade.
And nobody can do a monthly, so
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those days are long gone.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe guys don't want to do monthlies anymore, but and maybe that's not where it's going. But there's something to be said for being able to work that quickly and not have analysis paralysis and just to put it down, lay it down, and all you're thinking about is the action, is moving that story along. Look at John Buscema's breakdowns. They're so kinetic. There's so much energy there. Kirby, that issue he did for what was it, Captain America 112, I think it was. It was in between. It was in between the Steranko. Steranko missed the deadline, and Kirby had to do the book in a weekend.
Jesus.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. So it was like a lot of like full page or half page drawings, and it was like they told the story of Cap's history and all that. So it was a lot of stuff Kirby had already drawn before in the past, so he knew how to do it, like Submariner throwing the ice block out in the ocean and all that kind of stuff. But still, the guy cranked out how many pages in a weekend?
Could have been 24 back then, depending on the
Yeah.
time.
And full of energy. George Tuska inked it and brought it, kept it tight, But yeah, great stuff. I miss that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I mean, the big companies would never do it, but it'd be cool if they just had a section that went back and got guys to do monthly stuff and just did some cool comics and didn't worry about all the movies and all the ancillary stuff.
Okay, I've just hired you as the CEO of DC Comics. What's the first thing you do to change it around?
Well, knowing nothing about DC at the moment, or even what they're putting out, I
Mm-hmm.
would probably cancel a lot of books and get back to core comics.
Mm-hmm.
I'd tell the movies people to screw off and hire editors that knew how to edit, and let them hire talent that knew how to make comics.
And would you do the same thing if you were at Marvel?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're, within a few years of each other, one way or the other. They
Agreed.
always follow suit. Usually DC after Marvel, but yep, I'd hire some old guys as editors. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And give them autonomy too.
Yeah.
Not this big corporate thing all focused on the movies. Let publishing be publishing.
I was amazed the last time I was at DC for a long time, which was, I guess it was mid 2000s, and how, talking to people, so much of the story stuff was controlled from above and told what to do down.
Right.
Like, wow, talk about creating boring shit.
Right.
Because
if the people at top were so smart, they'd have been creating stuff.
Yep.
And they hadn't. It's like, why don't you hire people who know what they do and let them do what they do best, and trust them and give them autonomy.
You first hire an editor who knows what he's doing. You let him feel around and find a writer or two that he likes, what their ideas are, what their takes on, and hires them to do it. Get artists that know what they're doing, and let the machine start churning.
Yeah, there's for years there, all that, like you said, it was coming from the top down, and they couldn't hire the writer and artist themselves. The editors couldn't. It had to go through.
Yep. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So they just were paper pushers.
Yeah. They may think they have some kind of talent, or wish they wanted to be writers.
Didn't know that. And what respect do you then, as a writer artist, have for this guy and anything he tells you to do? You have none.
Right.
Yeah.
When Denny O'Neil would criticize a story idea, or he would say, that's not Batman, because he was the gatekeeper of all Batman. You knew where he was coming from. He had the bona fides to say that.
Exactly.
Okay, that's it. And you've written enough stories, Danny. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, or disagree, but you can respect him for it.
Yeah, I disagree, but it's you know what you're talking about, so you're right, and my idea isn't going to change Batman. So
right. Good. Yeah, and they don't have anybody doing that now either. Like the characters are all over the place. They're woke as hell, and it's just it's even if I was asked to work for either of those companies, I wouldn't be interested, because I don't recognize the characters. So if that's the case, I might as well create new ones.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't imagine being brought in on a book there. Certainly not to write it. don't have any idea. I mean, unless I could start over.
Right. Start fresh. Like, okay, you got
a new number one. We're going to go now, forget everything that's ever happened or whatever. Then maybe, but then, I mean, Batman's Batman. Why do you want a new number one? We already know his number one. We already know his story. I guess you could retell it, but I don't know. Things run so askew.
Yeah. For me, there's one project I would like to do.
Yeah.
If they came to me under the right circumstances and says, look, the ship is sinking, we need you to, do this project if you wanted to do it, and you can do whatever you want. And that project would be to take over the Fantastic Four and to be able to do what I want with it.
Yeah.
That would be something that would interest me coming back.
Carrot.
What's that?
That's the carrot.
That would be a carrot for me. But there's no friggin' way contact me and ask me to do it. But I'm just putting it out there into the world. That if any of you people in power there at Marvel, that would be the one thing that would get me interested in doing something for you guys.
No, that's a good one.
Is there one for you? Would there be anything like if they said to you, do what you want? Take one of our characters and do what you want.
DC. If they told me that with Batman, yeah, I could do that. Yeah. Yep. As long as there was no interference, yeah. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, Batman was my favorite character growing up as a kid. But I had my time on him, so that wouldn't be a carrot for me.
How many years were you on him?
At least 6.
Yeah, that's great.
Plus ancillary projects too.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, so that was a good run. I mean, I love the old character. I don't recognize the one now, because it's too much. When Frank Miller did The Dark Knight, it was supposed to be outside the universe. It was a one-shot adult audience, that type of thing. And it's like now that's been brought into the universe, and it's like every lazy writer thinks that that's all Batman is this narcissistic, violent dude. They don't recognize the traditional heroic aspects of Greek mythology and that kind of stuff that makes Batman an interesting character. He's a nihilist, and to me that doesn't hold any interest. Everybody wants to be realistic.
It's funny when just thinking about now. When I first think of Batman, I always think of Carmine's.
Great stuff
comes to mind.
That was great stuff.
I think of Batman. I see the Carmines until I start remembering different stuff. But
I think I see Dick Sprang.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the first stories I ever read was Outlaw Town, USA. It was in one of those like reprints, and it was such a great story. It was like this old law on the books in the Old West. There was a town that was started by these criminals, and because of the laws of the state, anybody who lived in there was outside the law. The law couldn't come in, and so they sent Batman in there to get this guy out who from Gotham City. And it's sort of like a Western type of thing, and just great Dick Sprangisms and everything in it. It's so great.
Sprang was good. He did some great stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever meet him?
No, never did.
He was a really tall, wiry guy. Looked like leather skin, like he was a cowboy, because he was. And he had I met him when he was about 89 or 90.
Wow. And
he had a grip like Joe Kubert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, one of those vice grips. I was like, oh man, this guy's done some work. This isn't a Palmolive hand right here.
This ain't me. Oh,
Oh man. Well, let's see who's in the room here and say hello to a few people. Pop Culture Avenger, hello Bart.
hello.
Some guy named Andy Smith is here.
Oh, Andy.
My professional brother,
There you go.
Victor Thomas.
Yeah, Victor.
Shadow Hawk, hello Shadow Hawk.
Hello.
Man of War 65, neighbor of the beast, is here.
I love it.
Past Master Dan, hello.
Howdy.
He says he remembers you working for Valiant.
Oh yeah, a few times. Different incarnations of Valiant.
Leg Kick 1, hello. Don Perkage, hello.
Hey man.
Norn Red 2 Turbo, hello. I'm a fan of Bart's work on the Violator miniseries.
That was some crazy sick stuff. A lot of fun.
Was that Todd stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What was that?
Oh, that's my. Must be getting a message or something.
What about? Hello. Thomas Herb, hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hyper Kaiju says he needs some more Joe Frankenstein.
Don't we all?
I'm working that into my Nolan verse, so eventually we'll get to that.
Excellent.
Sketch Therapy. Why make a monthly for peanuts when you can make a quarterly for 6 figures? As long as you got style and personality, taste and personality, charm and personality. I don't remember the rest of that song. It's a classic though. Okay.
6 things I don't have.
Eric McIntyre. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Eric is replying to my question to you about what you would do if you were the top dog there. First thing I do is sell all the IPs and shut down DC for life. Oh, some anger there.
Yep. Smells righteous.
What you don't want to read about what fancy outfits the X-Men are wearing to the dance party that they're in for the next 12 issues.
That's where it's now, huh?
Yeah, I saw an Avengers cover where it had Captain America and a bunch of them sitting around a table. It looked like a pizza, maybe a pizza joint. So they have half-eaten pizza there. One of them is on their phone texting. This is a cover.
I mean, I can see it was a gift of Justice League back in the day, but Avengers?
I mean, okay, Archie and Veronica, I can see this as a cover, but I mean, a superhero comic, who wants to read that?
Were they in costume? At least? Well, that's better than not.
I guess.
I wish they were not. That would make it an even better cover for these people.
Joan Bernardo must be in Hawaii.
Nice. That's even warmer than Florida.
Yeah, but more expensive.
Yeah.
Tara Wombat says, "Hail Bart, loved your JLE stuff."
Hey, thanks, Tara.
Voom man. Hail JLE Power Girl costume.
It's quite a costume.
Did you design that? You didn't design that, did you?
No, I designed a new one for her, but
okay. You didn't do the boob window, that one?
Okay. Well, I don't know if Wally did that.
I think it might have been Wally Wood.
Could very well have been. Fun story.
It sounds like it'd be him.
I took over. I'd heard that Wally, every time he drew Power Girl, he would draw her breasts larger, and I kept that up on JLE, and I didn't know until I'm trying to think, late teens issue, that Helfer would bitch every time pages would come in and he'd erase what I did and make them smaller.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's funny.
He did it one day when I was standing there. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Shut up! Don't even talk to me." I'm like, "I'm carrying on a tradition."
Enjoyed Bart's Boots and Babes instructional.
And you should check them out in Drawing Powerful Heroes and Drawing Powerful Heroes 2.
Where can they get those?
Amazon.com.
There you go. Amazon.com. Go there, guys. And Drawing Powerful Heroes.
Expanded, added new ones. Pretty good books.
Bart, what do you find is your artistic weakness or you just don't want to do? And who would you like to instruct you in how to do comic art that you didn't get to meet?
Women. Women is my artistic weakness. So, of course, I created with my wife a series called Maiden that is nothing but women. But now I have to face that weakness. And I guess if I had to pick somebody to instruct me in comic art, it'd be more illustration art. It would be Andrew Loomis. Sit down with him for a while would be awesome.
Do you know who Bob Oxner is?
That name sounds real familiar.
He used to he was an artist at DC for many years. He did a lot of like the humor stuff, Bob Hope, Jerry Lewis, but then he also did Angel and the Ape, and Supergirl and Mary Marvel, and he used to ink Kurt Swan for a while there too. And he was so great at drawing women, and just like that cute girl next door. You know, I love Bob Oxner's women. So great.
I think I'm seeing who you're talking about.
Yeah, look him up when you get a chance. You know, the way he draws a naturalness to his women is so beautiful.
Like. What is it? I can never think of names. And I won't be able to find what I'm looking for.
Jay Lee says DC.
Rip Kirby.
Awesome. Alex Raymond.
Yeah. Awesome. I love how he could draw so many different looking, beautiful women.
Yeah.
I find that amazing.
Do you have Stan Drake's books?
I do not.
You know, he worked, Neil Adams worked for the same ad agency where Stan Drake was like the head guy, and he learned how to ink from Stan Drake.
Makes sense. I did not know that.
Yeah. If you look at his work, you'll see so much Neil in his inking. Yeah. He did a strip called The Heart of Juliet Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Nope, I got a lot of stuff I got to get over the years.
There's so much great stuff out there now, too.
Yeah, you can get everything.
Pretty much. Let's see who else goes. Maybe if you'd like, you can link his art education book in the description for the people for tomorrow who come to see you guys talk. Yeah, if you want to shoot me that link to your the Amazon link, you know, you don't have to do it now. I can put it into the descriptions.
All right, cool.
And then anybody who shows up afterwards, you know, they'll be able to see it.
To grab them.
All right. Sub to Andy Smith. Yes. Subscribe to all the professionals. Andy, Bart.
Andy, is that your other?
Aaron, Dan.
SDA.
SDA. Yeah. Is that Andy? Oh, man. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up, bud. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
That was a blast.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was great catching up and talking with you. I hope we can do it in person soon at a show.
With maybe a nice scotch and a cigar.
Yes, as a matter of fact. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Excellent. No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, it was great having you on. And when your new crowdfunding project launches, make sure you get me the link to that, and I'll put it up.
Oh,
And
sweet.
and we'll promote it there too.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Okay. Hey, thanks, gang. Thanks for everybody checking in.
Yeah.
If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so, and that way you won't miss any of these great guests that I have. Next week, we have Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti coming on to talk. So we've got a double whammy. So tune in next Wednesday, and we will see you then. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.